1, 2, 3.
Hello everybody, welcome to Ross Owen TV. It's so good to be back.
almost a year. In fact, it's more than a year, I think, since we were supposed to be live on stage here in Airdrie with my guest tonight. Now, I know a lot of you have been waiting for this for a long time. You've been hanging on to your tickets, and she is here in person. Let's hear it for Gayle Telfer Stevens. Hello!
Hi!
Can you believe we made it?
I know, it's so nice to have human contact with you, although I can't touch you.
I know, I think a big long table in
A big stick.
Man with a stick, aye. In fact, you'll be used to that, talking to tennis balls and things on set.
And 2 meters getting roared in my curtain.
Oh, but we must talk about that. But I want to go back to the very beginning first and start, find out how you get into this crazy business.
Oh, God.
So let's take you way back. Let's say hello to your little friend, because just out of shot here we have a girl has a little friend with her, Tinkerbell.
This is Tinkerbell.
We need to hold her up a wee bit, I think, maybe so we can see.
She's my new baby.
Oh, look at that.
And she doesn't like being away from mammy. So I'm a new mammy.
I love the name.
She's lovely,
Tinkerbell.
but she is quite sassy though, I do love her.
And is your first dog?
I have a dog at home, but he's really my other half, so she's mine, completely mine. There is nobody else who has her, it's mine.
Well, she's certainly got attached already.
She likes you, Ross.
Aye,
she was going to you, wasn't she?
So tell me how you get started then in this business. I mean, because did you start at a young age? I mean, some of the people we've spoken to have done commercials and stuff when they were younger and started that way. Or were you stage, or was it school?
I was actually in the back room when I was 7 going on 8. It was Hogmanay, and it was the Steamate was on for the first time, and we had it on. In the back room, my whole family were there actually, and we were waiting for the bells. So I thought, why is my mum all dressed up? Where are we going? Where is she going? She leaving me? You know how people would get dressed up for the bells, obviously.
The good old days.
Aye, and sit up and get obviously a wee drink and toast in the new year. And we were sitting in, it was maybe about 8 o'clock at night, we were allowed to stay up quite late, and I just remember seeing these actresses primarily on this TV programme with the same type of voice as my grandma, my aunties, and I just thought, what is that? That is amazing. And I remember, I so vividly remember it, turning to my mum and saying, you need to send me to drama school. That's what I want to do. And ever since then, it was like tunnel vision. When I went to high school, they said, you're quite good at cake decorating and home eckie. We think you should be a chef. And I was like, I'm going to be an actress. When you would go to the careers advisor and they would say, okay, so what are we going to do? And I'd been kind of working my way up, like going to dance classes and drama classes and amateur dramatics. So I had been doing all that for a long, long time. And I am from a very normal family, so you're
not from a show business family?
I'm not from a show business family. My mum was an estate agent, my dad was a night shift driver for Greggs.
Right.
So it was just like, my dad was at odd hours at night to pay for my this and that.
Sure. And back then they didn't take you seriously in the job centre for things like that, for the arts?
Because it was in the 80s and the 90s, so they were just like, and I was mad Gayle that did the drama. Do you know what I mean? And there was no drama at my schools. I mean, it's a real travesty that there's still schools out there that don't have that kind of creative industries there and within house of their schools. So my mum just kind of was like, right, we'll go with the flow. And I actually, after that encounter with the Steamy, I'd said to her, you need to send me to drama school. And that January, February time, it was 8 in February or something, I think I had to wait until I was 8. And she took me to this house in the Hill Head, a big flat. And we walked up all the stairs, she never told me where I was going. Cause I wasn't a nervous child, but I think when I would think about things like that, like talent competitions on holiday in Costa Brava, you'd went for 2 days in the bus and then you were piled into every competition that was on, do you know what I mean?
Right.
To win a frisbee, that kind of thing. But I remember going up to this flat in the West End. I'd never been to the West End, and my grandma there, she lived in the Milton at the time, and we were over this West End of Glasgow, and I was thinking to myself, where are we going? And my mum chapped the door, and she was in. Dorothy Paul answered the door, and it was her. She had a studio in her flat, and this girl used to take drama in it, and she used to teach all the kids, and it was like a bus stop. Kids would come in for 1 hour, and then there'd be another array of kids waiting.
So how did this come about? Did your mum do the research?
My mum just used, it was the time when you would use the Yellow Pages to get somewhere. We had no internet in the days, so it was just like, to get me to do impressions, you could, he's up there again, Musla Barslava, you could strip paint, but they used to get me to do impressions.
And was this of people used to come and go like when you're talking about Hogmanay characters are in the street.
And Scotch and Rye as well was a big fixture in my house, so it was massive, like Ricky Fulton and all the amazing sketches. I would rewind them in the Betamax. Mind, we had the Betamax before we had VHS.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would rewind
with the
them.
remote control with the wire still on it. You'd have to sit right beside
you. Have a remote control, I had to press the button. Like, on you Gaffer's chair to press the button. But that's what I would do, and I would sit and watch. And I was quite an old soul. I liked a lot of Nat King Cole music, Motown music. So there was always Carpenters on in my house. We used to do the cleaning and put the LPs on in the front room. I'm saying the back room, front room. I'm acting as if I'm posh. I'm really no, but
of course you get the big light. And
aye, the big light, put the big light up. But quite an old soul, so I kind of connected really early in my life.
I get that.
When my pals were hanging about streets, and I wasn't allowed to. Of course, I was shipped off to a drama class or something. You're no hanging about streets, you'll be because you get to a critical age at 13 when you start thinking about boys and you start. You know, oh, they're doing that, I want to do that, and then you're up the park with a bottle of vodka and 3 years have chipped in for it, do you know what I mean? And your mum's still trying to keep you on the straight and narrow, you're not going out.
That was my life. Though, isn't it? I mean, you could either be the total opposite of that, which just wouldn't be you. You know, when if you maybe had been shipped off to London or something, and you know, and it can be a lot more, I think, more serious.
Oh, we did look at that, and eventually my mum bottled it, and she said, you're not going. It was Red Roof's Theatre School down in, I think it's Maidstone or something like that, and I was like, I want to be at it's everything.
Well, right away I'm thinking right now of, you remember Bugsy Malone? Remember when Bonnie Langford's character came into it? And she was like a little spoilt brat, and it was almost like the same thing she played in Just William. I'm screaming if I don't get my way. You know, that's what you're up against at times in the business, I think, you know.
Keeping it real, and I don't think, when I was younger, can you stop please? When I was younger, I don't think I was really made for that, because I'm for the Renton, so it's a really small town, and I know it's like where everybody knows your name. It's like the Cheers are Western Bartonshire, do you know what I mean? And everybody knows where you're from, what you're doing, and that was just my life, and I was in my own kind of TV show, Mind Play, because I was like, hello, you know, everybody knew who you are, and there was loads of characters, and there was always something going on. So, I mean, all my life, this is what I've wanted to do.
And what was your first the biggest job that you can remember, or the one that really got you started? So,
you're not allowed to join CMS Junior until you're 11. And my mum had inquired about it, and CMS is Calderbank Musical Society, for those who don't know. And I remember my mum getting in touch with the man that ran it, Tommy Long was his name, and she'd heard, because she worked in Calderbank at the time, and she, you know, Mama would sniff out anything, she'd be like, right, I've got this, and I'd be like, right, okay. So we had to go along and rehearse these audition pieces, but the man said to Tommy, said, listen, don't expect much, because the competition is really, really high. So my mum takes me along to this place, and we're in Radnor Park, Church Hall, every Sunday. You go, you learn your audition pieces for 3 weeks, and then it's a big audition, right? I swear to God, people are out in the streets. My mum was like, this is like Broadway. I'm like, I know, and I'm writing myself, do you know that way? And it was like, and I got a wee part, and it was like the biggest thing that ever happened. They'd phone you at 6 o'clock after the whole day of going through it, and I mean, I had 3 lines in the thing. But it was meant so much, and that's really where I really learned a lot of my craft, was in CMS. We did shows like musicals every year, so you would get to perform in a musical every October, and it was just the community and the people you met. I just loved it.
And those amateur dramatic groups and things like that as well start you singing. You know, whether you enjoyed singing at home, I didn't used to sing at home, but I remember being part of an amateur dramatic group, and because it was all musicals, you just kind of learned and were thrown into that, whether you were thrown into the chorus or were a lead part or whatever. So were you at home before you got into that? Were you musical as well? Or? Come up with me, come on.
Oh no, you know what to do that, just leave her.
Oh,
anyways. I loved singing, I always could hold a tune, and I think it just went hand in hand with everything, but it was the acting I really loved. It was the way and the craft of how you watched people and how they would tell these stories, and I loved it.
And you're getting back to just the story you were starting to tell about turning up at Dorothy Paul's door, how did you find Dorothy to be?
I mean, she was just as mesmerising off stage as she was on, I suppose, and I think it was just, I used to go every week and hope to see her, you know, because sometimes she would answer the door and then sometimes she wasn't in, so it would be the girl that took it. Her name was Carol, the girl that took it, and she was lovely as well, but I think it was just madness. I thought, oh my God, I've never seen, you know, you see somebody on a screen and then you see them in person, you think, oh, But yeah, that was the kind of start of like just being mesmerised with her. And Eileen McCallum as well. I called her Liz for the first 3 weeks of meeting her, and I was mortified when she came. I was like, my name's Eileen. I thought, of course I know that, because she was Dolly and she
But
was
I'm like
amazing.
you, I tend to, I think when you're familiar with a character, you know, and especially somebody like Eileen McCallum, you know, it's easy to do that. So yeah, and Eileen you went on to work with in River City as well, and I'm sure was there other things along the way as well?
No, that was the first time I'd ever met her. So,
Oh really? Really?
Aye, she's a lovely lady, and what an actor, what an actress. So good, so good. Never worked with Dorothy Paul. I mean, she's just standalone. They're all great. I mean, all the greats. So even your Una McLean. I mean, to meet her, it was just like, I remember seeing Una McLean in Paddy's Market, and I was sitting with my parents. We'd went for, this was quite a big deal to go to the theatre, obviously, but back in the late 80s sort of thing. And my mum started then taking me to the theatre, so we would all go along, and sometimes we would get a meal and sometimes we wouldn't. Anyways, this night we went to Santorini's or Santonian's. It's a restaurant in the town. Anyways, we goes to the pavilion, and Una McLean's got a jet black bob, right? And she's sitting at the front of the stage, and I don't know what happened, but she corpsed. And everybody starts laughing. Anyways, me and my 9-year-old state, I'm saying to my mum, what are they all laughing at? Because I didn't get it. But the whole place was in an uproar, and I said to her when I met her, I've never ever seen that in a theatre, and everybody was with you, and I now know it was called a corpse, you know, you'd started laughing on stage, and you didn't mean to, and the whole audience was with you, but it was just amazing.
So where did you go after CMS?
So just more of the kind of same kind of things, like shows and drama classes and wee bits of plays and just different things, dancing, singing, all kinds of stuff like that. All kinds of things of theatrical. You know, my story's it's not that interesting, but it's all been hard work to what I wanted to be.
If I sit right in saying you appeared in an episode of Take You High Road when you were younger, tell us about that.
So they would come to our school, and we would do all the extra stuff because we were the kind of local school that they had.
So they filmed it there? Right.
And I had a wee line, see you later Sarah, so I'd made up my whole backstory, my whole character, but it was just a tiny wee line. But it was in the days of like Joe McFadden, and then what was the other guy that's in Mrs. Brown's Boys was in it?
Oh, Gary Hollywood. And Jimmy Chisholm.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's right off the bat. Well, he was early just because in lockdown, the very first lockdown, I started watching it. And I was like, oh my God. And he was like the young kid, because my mum said he was like the young dashing character, do you know what I mean?
Jimmy, I can't remember his second name in it, but I know he was called Jimmy in it.
That's right, Jimmy Blair.
Jimmy Blair, that's right.
He was Isabel Blair's son.
Right.
And Isabel Blair was Eileen McCallum.
Right, gosh, it's such a...
I mean, we would watch it it was a Tuesday and a Thursday, I think, maybe. Every single week.
I just feel as if it was on every night.
Well,
then,
it probably
felt
pretty
like
much was. I think it get ramped up a wee bit, but it was obviously filmed in Luss.
Right,
and
that's right.
I lived down that way.
I'm old enough to remember the one before it, Garnock Way.
Oh, jeez.
Which was, and I don't remember watching it, I remember the name of it, Garnock Way. That was the first kind of Scottish soap I remember.
That's right,
And then, so River City was the BBC, I think that was the first ever soap that they had. I can't think of any other soap.
Right, because it was all ITV, because that was where the hub of Scottish television, really.
And the BBC was all comedy, BBC Scotland, I think, wasn't it, because of the comedy unit? Which is another thing that you sort of got. Now, I don't know if did you do stand-up comedy as well at any point?
No, I'm not that daft.
But you're a great comedy actress, so tell us about the challenges of doing comedy and acting, because we spoke to the boys, Jordan, Stephen and Scott, about this, you know, about different emotions and which ones were harder, and the boys were saying it was harder to play a drunk.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Which we can actually come to, because Stephen was playing a drunk with you just not so long ago, and a few of the fans were asking me to mention that, to ask what it was like.
Do you know what, it was so funny, because we're doing the 2 metres, right, and I'm up in the bar, and I'm like 7 feet tall with my heels on, and I hate to mention, sorry Stephen, I hate to mention this, but obviously he is wee, do you know what I mean? I always say, if you were 5 foot taller, do you know what I mean? Meet the boyfriend, the girlfriend in the show, but it's not going to work. But you know, that way when I was watching it, the shot was from this side, and it was like, there was me and there was Stephen. I thought, that's terrible what they've done there. But it was good. I do like, obviously I don't get many scenes with him, but I do like it when I do you know, that way. That
was some great scenes there. So the challenges I mean, what do you find the biggest challenges in acting with regards to emotions?
I suppose comedy is one of them, most definitely. I suppose What I find challenging is range, right? And you can, listen, we can all cry, right? Because you can think of something that's going to make you cry instantly. Can you keep that emotion going? It's very hard to keep it going and going and going. You can, range of like a character of going ups and downs and the naturalism of a life, playing somebody's life. That, I think that's the hardest thing. Comedy's great, and I think if it's
biographical, you mean?
Not biographical. No, not. I just mean to be as honest as you can in a character's journey. I think that's the most difficult for me, to keep the continuity of that person going and be as realistic as you can. And I think that's really where my real training ground has come into place with River City, because it's the longest time that I've had a character for, and for the longest time that I've been able to play something on a daily basis.
A lot more three-dimensional then, and a lot more backstory to the character.
Yeah, you just get a good wee run at it, and I know it becomes your job, it's where you go every day, but it's still, you still just try and better yourself every time you watch it. I mean, people that say I don't watch myself, I don't believe that for a minute. Maybe people don't. But I think it's really interesting when you do watch, because it tells you, you learn all the time, it tells you what to do or what not to do. I watch and think, oh, no, do that again. You know, there's
you
always
learn all
learning.
the time. Yeah, we've got a wee sheet there. I think since you lot have all been sitting, well, you've waited a year for this, we're going to give you guys a wee shout out. So I'm going to ask Gayle if she wouldn't mind saying hello to a few people.
Oh, this is a nice name, right? So this is to Sally Ann Andrews. Hello, in this camera, yeah?
Yes, that's right, camera one.
Scott Angus, mwah, big kiss for you. Angela Armour, that's it, that's AA, yeah. Robert Ashcroft, hello. Graham Baird, I know Graham, hi Graham, how are you? Charlene Barclay, loads of love doll, mwah. Catherine Playfair, that's a cool name, isn't it?
Got a brilliant name. Catherine comes to all the shows.
Oh, does she? Hi, I'm so sorry I didn't meet you. That's the thing about this, isn't it?
It's, I know.
I've not actually met her, well, whatever.
Hopefully we can maybe do an excuse to do a live one further down the line.
Gina Cavana, no, there's a name.
Oh, I've tasted that. Oh, is that somebody on the list? I thought it was a drink.
That's a bad joke.
It sounds like a drink though, doesn't
Bad joke. Stephen Coyle, hello, I was going to say thank you, I don't know what for. Lewis Beresford, hello. I think I know Lewis, I think I do. Cameron Leroy, hi darling. Michelle Craig, loads of love babe. Sheila Binney, hello Sheila. And Lisa Borthwick. I had a teacher called Lisa Borthwick or Liza Borthwick.
Really?
I did, Miss Borthwick.
You never know. Maybe your teacher.
She was my standard grade.
She comes to all the shows, Lisa. Big River City fan.
She's an English teacher.
I wouldn't know if she's a teacher. Are you a teacher,
well, I think
Lisa?
you should ask her the next time you see her.
You can ask her now.
Are you a teacher, Liza? I think she's Liza.
What was the point when you Gayle's teacher?
When you because you know what, see if you are, you told me that you couldn't believe I got a 2, but it was because I had a good speech thing. I was good at the talking and that.
Well, I'll soon find it. I'll find it for you. I think it's probably a different Lisa Borthwick, but we'll find it. But we'll do some more shout outs later. But thanks for tuning in and staying with us. Now, in just a few minutes, we're going to have some live music from the Dazes, fantastic band. If you were at the live show we did with Sean Ryder here in Airdrie, you'll have saw the Dazes, absolutely fantastic band. So that's coming up in just a few minutes. Gayle, we were talking about how when you first got into television, you've got an incredible body of work as well. Some of the stuff that you've done. So, what job was it that people started first recognising you?
I've done things like Your Casualty, Doctor Who was a really big deal for me when I done it.
Well, that's one of the ones I want to talk about because that's got its own fandom. I mean, that must be. You could be in that for 2 seconds and that's you.
I kind of was in it for 2 seconds and I've got a trump card.
Exactly.
On it. So, you know, it is like they're called Whovians, the fans there, and they're like, you're Whovian, Stevie's a Whovian, the sound guy's a Whovian. And,
did you know Gayle was in Doctor Who?
You didn't know, there you go.
You were in the burger van, weren't you?
Series 3, episode 3, I must have had like 4 or 5 lines, or 2 scenes or something like
David
that.
Tennant?
Yeah, and David Tennant, what a glorious guy, you know. That was kind of at his peak of his career, and he was lovely, he was a lovely man. So that was a pretty big deal, even though it was quite small. I've always kind of got those small, it was always like, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And I felt like that for a very long time going throughout my career, and I took myself away to New York because I was so peed off with the whole thing, and I was like, I'm just done with this. And in Scotland, it's quite hard to get in amongst the work up here if you're not known, if you don't go to the Royal Conservatoire, if you've not trained up here. I trained in London, so I went to drama school when I was 18 in London, and I did musicals. I was trained in musical theatre, but trained quite massively in acting as well. So you're really highly skilled when you're trained in musical theatre, and it took a long time for me. Well, I had a big breakout of college in Jerry Springer the Opera, but it never really sat well with me that I wanted to be in the back end of a chorus, or I wanted to show hop. I wanted to do theatre, I wanted to be creative, and I wanted to do television, because acting was my big passion. So once I came up here in 2005, things weren't really taking off, and I thought, how do I even get to know people that are here? And it's a hard gamble to take, but when you're known down there, then you're not going to be known up here. So, and there's a community of people. Yeah, and there's a community of people that work quite extensively up here, and sometimes you don't get in because there's so many other people waiting in the wings, and that's fine. But I get a wee bit sick of it, and I took myself off to New York to do an Hagen course. Hagen's a practitioner that does the acting styles and techniques. Mm-hmm. And when I was there, I'd said to Mother Half, I said, that's me, I'm going there, and if you're not going to make a commitment, that's fair enough, that's up to you, because we've been together a long time. And he's normal, so he doesn't really get this acting lark. He's quite, and I'm normal inside as well.
I get what you mean, though.
Aye, but I've got this passion. So anyways, I take myself off to New York, and when I was there, I found out I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a bittersweet, but it was great, because it kind of, when I came back and I had my wee girl, it just put everything into perspective, and it just was like, this is your job, this is always going to be part of you, but sometimes it's a real burden as acting, because it's so ingrained in you, and you so need the part, you so want the part, but you want the part for the worst reasons, but to have the part. Whereas I eventually was like, I need to go to my work, because I need to provide for this child. Mm-hmm. So therefore I need to use my skill set and my creativity. Mm-hmm. And that was when I started working a lot in comedy up here. I did Gary Tank when my baby was 6 weeks old. I had her in the car, coming home in the wee car, and they phoned and said, can you come in? I said, well, I've got my Wayne here, and she's in the car seat. So she sat across from me, and I actually gave it to the receptionist. I said, can you take her for a minute? And I could see her in the glass, and she was sleeping, and they got me in, and I read, and I did Gary Tank, then I did Scott Squad, I did the pilot for that.
I remember Scott Squad with Ken Beattie.
That's right, but I'd done the pilot with Scott Squad, and then they were looking at a regular character, and I never made the cut.
Oh no.
So they did another 2 episodes with me. Right. Which was great, because it was all improvised, so it was all your own, it was do or die. It was like the cameras are rolling, it's your chat, go, and they edit it. So, I mean...
But it works wonderfully, doesn't it? It was such a great programme. It's
such a great programme. It's been good for Scottish comedy, it's been brilliant, so. But there was loads of stuff, and then I was getting a bit kind of, the parts when they come in, the theatre wasn't coming, and I was having an epileptic fit about bloody working, and I thought, I'm sick of being the bridesmaid, and that is literally when River City came along.
And on that note, we're going to be back in 2 minutes to find out more about River City and about some of the musicals that you've worked on, and of course Sunshine and Leith. I want to talk to you about that.
Oh, you like that one?
I love it. It's over and done with.
It's over and done with.
See that one? We all love that song. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to do that again. We'll be back. I'm going to Bruce Forsyth here. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Here's the Daisies.
Start again, and 3, 2, 1, action.
We'll be back in 2 minutes, right after the Daisies.
Woo!
I never thought I'd feel this way, the way I feel.
fantastic. And the Dazes will be playing regularly through all our online shows for the coming weeks. Tinkerbell's on the move again. Gayle, we want to talk to you about Sunshine and Leith, because my good pal Kevin Guthrie, who came and played in the charity match for us a couple of times here in Airdrie. Great movie. What was your memories of working on that film?
Well, I had my wee girl had, as I said before, it became a necessity to go and get work as an actor, is what I'd trained in. So that was another one of the things where it was there was a part, and it was a cleaner, and I was like, right, okay, yep, I'm on it, and but you need to sing 500 miles when you get there. I'm like, no bother, and I'm like, right, okay, I'll put that on the radio, and I'm you know the airport bridge, as I call it, the airport bridge, trying to get to where I was, shoving on the lipstick, putting on my makeup, because I'm late, you know, for everything. I wasn't late the night though, that was quite good.
You were early?
I was early, and so anyways, I gets into this room, and I'm like, hiya, and I'm like a whirlwind, and I'm like, oh, hiya, how you doing? And then I look, and I'm like that. It's you? Oh my God! I used to watch you when you were in the press gang. It was Dexter Fletcher. I had no idea. I had no idea that it was him, and I was mesmerised for lack of a bit. I was just like, oh my God. And then I was like, oh listen, I've just dropped my Wayne off. She's only 6 months, and you know, because when you're a new mum, that's all you talk about is your Wayne. So he said to me, you know, like, right, can you try this part? And I tried, and I did the thing.
I love his voice.
And he said, you sing, and I mean, I think it was a bit of a cat's crier, do you know what I mean? Well, Mum, I've heard, but very patriotic. And he said, you know, I don't really think this is for you, but I've maybe got something else. And I was like, oh, do you know what? But it was brilliant to meet you. Thanks so much. Like, I've loved you since I was a wee lassie when we used to watch Press Gang on a Sunday night. With Julia Minton, and he went, like that. Because obviously that was his birth back in the day, and I think they left in bad terms. Anyways, because I can never pronounce her second name. Terrible. Anyway, I get a call later, about a few days ago, and a few days later, and they said to me, basically they want you to sing this song. It's not an actual part, but they've basically they've made this kind of part for you. It's to sing a version, a chorus of Over and Done With in the pub. And I was like, oh, I'll take it. And then they included in like the party that they did, so Jane Horrocks and Peter Mullen there at the anniversary party.
That's
and then
right,
after we'd done it, that was in the Woodside Hall, so it was brilliantly done. It's like amazing. It was December, I remember it, December 2012, and it was brilliant, and we were all kind of included in this community. And then after filming stopped, he basically had said, there's not enough for your character in this, we're going to write you another scene.
Wow.
So they got another scene, but what I will say is that on that shoot, a small part is what I was, and there's all the SAs, the extras. He was on that SA bus every day.
Was he?
Saying, we're gonna make a movie, and he was there asking them how they were, wanting the best out of them, communicating with them, bantering with them. Like he made that shoot. It was the very best of times, because he was the director and he wanted it so good. But he was like, there were no levels. It was like we were all making this thing work, and they did that in 6 weeks. They shot that whole movie. It's like, although we did come back to it in the March, right, after the December, but they were like
pick-up shots.
But they were go for 6 weeks. He was away doing locations on their lunch times and stuff like that. Like, it was amazing. It's no wonder he's directed Eddie the Eagle.
Oh, his career's just gone from strength to strength.
Rhapsody, but you can see he's not on the credits because he's obviously
he was brought in.
But he had that before, and then it changed, and then he was pulled in again.
Right, so that's why he got pulled back in, right? And then Band of Brothers he did as well with Tom Hanks and all that, you know.
He's great. He's fantastic, and it was just a really special time. And I think because my wee girl was so young at the time, and I thought, God, I'm going to be in a movie. Yeah. I'm actually going to be in a movie, and it was like, and I didn't realise what a big deal it was going to be, and it was like in the cinematic screen. Yeah. It was huge. Didn't need to be any more huge, and I was like, oh Christ.
That's kind of what it was like when I was talking to the guys from Gregory's Girl, and they were talking about, because it was the 35-year anniversary a couple of years ago with the cast on, and they were all talking about that when they were young, and Bill Forsyth came along and said, oh, you're going to be in this movie, and they're like, wow, it's big, an actual cinema screen movie, you know, and sure enough it happened, and look at the success.
I know.
And Sunshine and Leith, I mean, that was just, the whole idea of it, I thought, was a brilliant idea, and I think, you know, one of the questions we got from one of the fans for you was, would you like to do more of that type of thing?
Oh, absolutely. It's like, without a doubt, it's just if the call comes, you know, you get a good agent first, you know, it's that kind of way. I mean, there are things getting made here. There's loads of things getting made here, but sometimes it's like the Scots are the kind of last pick of the bunch. Do you know what I mean? Unless you're a man, and I will say that. For women, think about right. For women, it's very difficult because you're either the stripper, or I mean, you watch so many things on Netflix, and you think, oh, aye, big hard men. There's about 20 of them, or they're chopping somebody's head off with an axe. You know what I mean? With a big beard.
Yeah, that's a point Maureen Carr brought up. Is the lack of work for women?
Oh, it's pathetic.
In Scotland.
Pathetic.
I mean, it's hard enough for everybody, I suppose, but particularly for women.
Particularly, and this is how. And I know we sound like we're beating our rolling pins against our pots. Aye, but that's not what we do. I go out and.
But you're living as well. I mean, they've got to be work. They need to have work there. I mean,
well, what did they do during the war? I mean, why are there no more films about that? You know, we're car mechanics. Like we ran the country basically.
Yeah.
So that is quite infuriating, you know, but. And I will beat my drum as much as I can. And
so you should. So let's talk about the dolls, because that's probably one of your really most popular gigs and with the fans, because they rant and rave about it, and I haven't seen it yet. So I have to say, I have watched the video clips and the little bits that you've put out. Absolutely hysterical. It's like get back to these steamy type characters again, isn't it?
Well, it kind of came out of the real story. We always get asked, me and my lovely partner Louise McCarthy, right, that's the other doll, Sadie, I'm Agnes, right, and we always get asked, how did you meet, and how, we basically met at a cabaret, and we were singing at this thing, and I just instantly fell in love with her, because she was from Mary Hill, and she was quite like me, her family were quite normal, she wasn't theatrical, she was just like, alright, how you doing?
So you hit it off right away.
And I was like, I'd never met somebody that was like her, that was in my game. And we'd kind of the same path of we'd went to musical theatre school, so we'd went in amongst all these quite well-to-do people that really didn't get us. They didn't get the Glaswegian humour, or you know, you were kind of backing up the wrong tree at all costs. So you were kind of a social chameleon. You become something else that, you know, you could be acceptable into their circle. So I met this girl and I thought, oh my God, she's amazing. And she used to go out for £150 every Friday and Saturday as a singer, right? And I thought, oh, I would love that. I mean, I'm skint and I've just had the rain, so I need to stop it, please. And I need to make money. So anyways, that's what I started speaking to her, and I said, right, do you want to get together and do something? So we kind of came up with this thing, right, we're going to go out and do a Motown show because we love the old Motown songs, and we'll sing away. And then we kind of just started talking about, well, why don't we do a play? Why don't we do this? And we just came up with the dolls. And on the 13th of May, 2013, is it 13th of May, I think it was, we had got a gig booked in for us at the Eastern House Masonic, and we're absolutely shitting ourselves because we'd never done this. So we got there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're not on stage until about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we had constructed this kind of musical comedy act for 50 minutes, and then a spangly kind of song, like singing, like party set. And we thought, what is this going to go down? And a lot of it wasn't a wing and a prayer, but we just worked like that, and we were doing it under the radar because she's an actress as well, and she was going through the same kind of things that I'd experienced. She'd just come up here, she was trying to get into the circle, she was trying to get a job, she was trying to get arrested, nobody would do any of above, right? So we thought, right, well, we'll go out and we'll earn this money because we're doing what we love to do, and then we'll do the acting, we'll do that on the side at the weekends. Nobody will know, but our poster would go outside a bowling club, and as quick as that, it just went like that.
Snowballed.
Can we get you? Can we? And it sounds cliched, but it was literally like it took us by storm more than anything. And this following of women, I think it was the first time in a lot of years that women had something apart from like the full Monty to go to in a club, right? It was like, that's ours and they're ours, and we are going to continue to support them. So, I mean, and we would talk to the fans in between. I mean, say fans, but they were working class women like us, so we were talking their language. That's what we were doing. Talking about men, talking about things that women talk about in a kitchen.
It's that same formula that made Still Game work. It's the man in the street, and people relate to that.
It's relatability. And I suppose with myself and Louise, we just feel as if we can conquer anything when we're together, that it's just a real unspoken thing. But I'm like, if she's down, I'm up, I'm taking it, and if I'm down, she's taking it, and it's kind of worked like that. And if I'm having an argument with the social convener, she's keeping quiet and keeping edgy, and it works the other way.
And it's still going, isn't it? The Dolls. Tell us what, have you got any plans for the future? I know that's difficult to have any plans at the moment.
We've got our tour booked. I mean, this is the third show we put out. We wrote this show in 2016. We're still doing the clubs, and we were asking people to come and support us because we knew we'd done this massive gig at the Edinburgh Playhouse, right? And it was the first time that we went onto a theatre, because there was always a club audience, so they always had a bevy in with them, and it was like the film, you know, with that scene at the end in the film, and they're all up and they're like, yes, that's what we used to go out to.
You wouldn't get that in a theatre, would you?
No,
it's not the same.
And even though it was 250 people, it was still our people. I was selling tickets up the scheme, like they were, do you know what I mean? Like it was harsh, I was like, here you go. how many you want? It was like that, and they would text you get any Dolls tickets, and we used to get them a cocktail when we would go in, because our show's not enough, we need to get them a cocktail as well, sort of thing. And sometimes we'd put on a buffet, it was nuts.
Really? Wow.
And yeah, we wrote this show, so we were still doing our gigging in Edinburgh Playhouse. We went out to this theatre audience, and we thought East Coast we were going to get annihilated, but we'll try. It was fourth radio, right? And they'd taken a wee punt on us, and it was through all people that we knew, through within Soul Nation Choir, and they're amazing, so they'd all kind of worked together to bring us to this point. And we went on stage, and I swear to God, there's a video of it, and they just, every punchline, they went up. And I'm like, oh my God, my face is chalk white, and she's doing the scaly eye. She's like, I don't want to look at the audience. And I'm like, oh my God. And then by the end song, you're in the splits, and you're down the heats down, and they're just like, and we got off the stage, and we thought, I think we can do this in the theatre. I think we can do this. And it did take a wee bit of persuading, and we asked the club fans to come and support us, and we took it ourselves to the Mitchell, where we'd booked for 3 nights. We then sold it. We had to put 8 nights on. We sold it all out with our own money, and then we got a promoter on, and that took us up to two tours in 2017, a tour in 2018, which was our last show, which was the Dolls Dragged Up, which is absolutely phenomenal, and now we're going out with a rare tale. We were meant to be out last year, but we're going out this year.
Is there a DVD of any of the shows available?
Yeah, there is. There should be stuff on our website, and there's clips and stuff like that. So
tell us the website address.
www.wearethedolls.com. We also do birthday messages if you want a cheeky message for the dolls.
Hey! Brilliant.
But just out of that, we were just like balls to the wall, and this is what I'm saying, there's no work in Scotland for females, so what the F are you meant to do? What are we meant to do? Make it yourself.
Create work.
So now we have a newer concept, the newest concept of the Dolls, and amongst all the merchandise that we have that we've made ourselves, and all the kind of shows that we've come through, we've got a rare tear at the end of the year, but we've also, for lockdown and for people to get their fix, is we're going to do a live show at the end of every month called the Dolls TV, because nobody will give us a TV show. So we're going to do our own.
Just got an online TV thing. Oh, brilliant, brilliant.
I mean, what do you do when you're with the Suits and they'll not get you a TV show? And you're waiting in the wings, you're like, hello, and I'm female as well, and so is she, and we've had all this success, but nobody will take you on. And it's quite disheartening.
It must be. I mean, just make your own stage and your audience will come.
Make your own.
Absolutely. Now, all these people watching, sitting going, this is great, Gayle, this is brilliant. But we want to know about River City. I just can feel it coming through the screen. So, River City, lots of great storylines for Caitlin. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I could ask you about your favourite storyline, but let's talk about the COVID storyline, because this was one of the things that I think I put on Facebook. I thought, I wonder who's going to be first on the telly amongst all the soaps and amongst all that. Some character's going to get COVID. I wonder who it'll be. And you were the first. Caitlin was the first, and I knew that opening episode. As soon as you sneezed or something, I was like, oh, she's got it.
I had to do this coughing thing, but I wasn't allowed to cough because you weren't allowed to cough or sing. And I think you're still not. So I had to do this acting.
Oh, and they dubbed it in.
So they said, can you cough, but not cough?
Mime.
Yeah, okay.
but it worked anyway, and it didn't know what was going to happen to Caitlin, and you didn't know either.
No, because somebody tells you you're going to get COVID, you're like, oh, it's going to be a great storyline, girl. I
thought you acted it out really well. what kind of research did you have to put into that?
Well, I actually had a friend who's a nurse who caught COVID in May of last year, and I spoke to her quite a lot. She was amazing. So she gave me a lot of tips. I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of videos. I watched a lot of people saying goodbye to their loved ones on a FaceTime. It was pretty brutal, but I think it was so hard to portray in a way because this was the thing that was happening at that time, and I was really petrified of not giving the weight to it that it really needed, because there had been so many people that had not had their loved ones or seen them, or it's been such a crazy time, hasn't it? And I think to do it justice, I think it was all right, but I think a lot of people's experiences are very different. So I did put a lot of work into researching it. I didn't want it to be watch it back and think, oh, you didn't do very well on that.
Well, one of the things I noticed, whether it be the writers or the actors, when I noticed, I really researched this, there was a little thing that I learned from my own ailments, but I know that they've been doing it with COVID, people with COVID, is the breathing in for 2 seconds and breathing out through your nose. And I know about that exercise. Yeah. And I thought, see, that's good that they've put that in, because people watching this, it might help.
They had researched it beyond belief, because you can't put something like that on the screen. I mean, the research team, they're so fantastic, the producers at River City, because and they don't really get the credit. I mean, the whole show doesn't get the credit it deserves, but the fans it really does, because they're so committed to it. But I think it's a nation thing, isn't it? It's for our nation, and we should be.
That's what patriotic about it.
Yes,
yeah, really
absolutely.
are. And
it's a big machine, and it's a massive job. It's huge for everybody involved, the crew, everybody that works on it works so hard.
And there's so many people behind the scenes who have come from front of the camera as well. David Mackay, who I think Scott Floyd, I love working with David Mackay.
I can't cope with him. I just love him so much.
And if you don't know the name, I was just about to say, Sticky.
I realised one day making a cup of tea beside him when we could kiss and cuddle each other, because I was hanging out with him, and I thought, oh my god, you're a Sticky. I used to watch it at my grandma's on a Sunday afternoon.
And he's a great comedy actor as well. I thought he was brilliant in Ned's.
And he's been in so much stuff, but he's a fantastic director. David Mackay gives you a note, and he always appreciates his actors, and I don't know if it's because he's been an actor himself, but he is fantastic. He's a fantastic
he's one of the guys on my hit list to interview. I want to interview David, because he's done so much over the years, and I mean, some of the stuff he's done with Peter Millen, and My Name is Joe, played Malky, and as you said, Sticky.
I was in Looking After Jojo, actually. I said, did you get any DVDs of that? Because I kind of found it online. It's just like, no.
I'll get a link later.
Thank you.
I found I watched that quite recently, because Andy Stewart's son's in it.
Well, Kath's in it, my ma.
Kath, is she?
She's in it, and she got a broken jaw for real on set. She tells us, like, Kath's got so many stories, so many, and she broke her jaw on it, and she went back to her work a day later or something like that. Nuts.
We must get Kath to talk about it, because we're still going to do the wee night with yourself, and your sister and your mum, Leah and Kath. Remember when we get Joe? They kept calling her, they kept calling her the wrong name.
It is, and I thought, this is an interview gone wrong.
If you missed this, we did a Zoom type thing a few months back, and we got the actor who plays Joe, who was sadly murdered. And he surprised the girls on the Zoom call.
It was a nice surprise.
It was great. And you thought it was Stephen Purdon at first, but you got it in the end.
I just thought it was somebody, and then I thought, God, who's going that far? And it was him. Obviously it was him. I had a great laugh with Douglas. He's
Douglas Rankin.
Yeah, he's a good sport. He was a good sport for that.
And that storyline is still going on. And the Stalker storyline is going on, and there's all sorts of story, Lenny's stuff, and it's all crossing over, and it's a lot. And with these half-hour episodes, is that something that's going to? Are we going back to the other long episodes?
So, yes, episodes. So it'll be the flashback episodes.
I did when I had Holly. Who's married to my mate, my good pal Ben.
Is he? Yeah, Ben.
For years I've known Ben, and we did the show in Airdrie with Holly, and I tried to...
Because she's from here, isn't she?
Well, actually, yes, that's right. She's from here. And I remember speaking to her, I was like, how you doing? And my first question is this, second question, did you kill Joe? Try and trick her, you know, but she didn't fall for it.
I know.
I don't know. They don't tell us anything.
I know they don't.
But, so yeah, a lot of different storylines going on just now. But when, how far ahead are you filming at the moment? Because some of that stuff would have been filmed a few months back because the pubs are still open and things. And
yeah, so I'm trying to think. I think we're about 4. So what are we on now? April. So that stuff was shot in November, I think. November.
Wow! Really,
yeah.
that is quite long, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because even I think Coronation Street and things like that film like 3 weeks or 4 weeks in advance. Is it?
I think that's just nuts. There, I mean, it's a lot, isn't it?
But
they're 4 times a week or so.
It's quite a lot. Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Maybe they've got a lot more cast. A lot more cast.
So there's less dialogue for them to learn.
Well, there's a lot more cast to share the stories out.
Right.
And then obviously when you've got a cast, I think we've got 24 casts.
But that's good for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah,
Smaller
it is,
cast.
most definitely. Well, I think so, yeah. I mean, it just means that some are more strung out than others come any given block, which is what I've been very, so blessed in there to, when I walked in there as the benefits scrounger and all the rest of it, and then it was to see how it went. It was never ever a guarantee, and then it was just, I just got great storylines and great storylines.
Was Caitlin paired up with Grado?
No,
was it Leah?
that was Leah.
That was Leah, because I missed that storyline, but I remember that Grado came into it. Andy Gray was your other half, of course. We spoke about Andy Gray quite recently, the tribute to Andy. We can't go tonight without mentioning Andy.
Oh, no.
You mentioned earlier on about how you got attracted to acting through watching the Steamy and things like that and getting inspired by that, the real people. Andy said the exact same thing about Sean Connery. I saw Sean Connery and I thought, it's one of these people it's got a Scottish accent like us. If he can do it, so can I. Mama want to be an actor, and it's very similar to your story. So just talk about Andy for that, you know, and what it was like working together.
I didn't know Andy at first. I'd heard so much about him, and I obviously knew exactly who he was. And I remember him coming into the show, and the first scene we had was an argument at the door. But then the second scene we had, I was smashing a pint glass 2 millimetres away from his head. So there was lots of explosive storylines to be had there, and it was just fantastic. We just struck up a bond straight away. And I always remember saying, remember when you were in City Lights, I was 9 and I used to get my hair done. I used to have to go in a bath and then get my hair done, and I'd be watching you and now we're lunching. It's so bittersweet, isn't it? I mean, what can I say? But he is a national treasure. He's of his time, and it's just too soon. But what I'll do is we celebrate him. We need to celebrate him, and you did a great job of that. You know, of playing the interview back with him. I thought
the stories from the guests the tributes were just fantastic. You know, heartwarming. You know, and they all summed up Andy. You know.
Oh, absolutely. But he was a very private man as well. Although he was this larger than life character, he was a very private man who had so much love for his family and those who were close to him, and he let in, and it was just like, it was always a privilege just to go into my work. You know, there was a real kind of connection between him and I, and that we wanted the characters to do really well. And then obviously he got struck ill with cancer, and that was when he'd left, and it was always that he was coming back in February, and he'd never quite made it, which is what we just filmed there, which, I mean, couldn't really help feel that when I went back to my work. I remember putting my wedding rings on and thinking, oh God.
It was such a great character that he played.
Oh, it was so fantastic. And you know, I remember
close to Chancellor as well.
Oh, defo. And that car, remember I spoke about the car?
Yes.
I loved that car so much, and when he came in and he had the strut going on, you know, and the cowboy boots and the guy liner, I was like, what is that you've got on? But he was just so committed to it. It's so much say in the character, to be fair, like, and how he developed and stuff, because he's a bloody master.
That's where he's a genius, he really is. I mean, Alan Stewart and Grant Stott talk about that.
Comedy genius, just do this. Always, you know, as an actor, you don't really give other actors notes, but if Andy Gray's giving you a note, you take it and you thank him for it, because you're very, very privileged to even to bother. So he was always very giving, and you've heard that. He was so giving, and he was a big voice. And for me in there, or the 3 years that I had with him, was that he was just was such a pleasure, and I think when he went, I really realised I grieved for him actually before he'd even passed, of having him in my work, because it was just like going to work every day was so exciting.
Some people just connect with you, don't they, in life? And Andy, I mean, I only met Andy when I did the show. Spoken to him over the years tons of times because he was a big Laurel and Hardy fan, and he knew I'd done the Laurel and Hardy website, and we spoke about Laurel and Hardy quite often. Because we know like the Lord Batman, but that was his two words, Batman and Laurel and Hardy. And a tragic loss, but it will always be remembered. And I think only Andy could have played that character. You know, I don't think they couldn't bring somebody else in now. You know, like they do sometimes, they bring other people in to play the character. I think only Andy, he owned that character.
Oh,
you know?
Definitely. I think that was one of the things where you just thought, what is this character? But it was really, I mean, if you look back at all these episodes, even that JCB episode, the fans will remember that, of him coming down, Shield in, she was just so committed. It was so brilliant at that. The stuff with Ron Donaghy, I remember being in the presence of greatness that day like that. Oh my good God, because Ron Donaghy, it's on one hand to have Andy Gray and then Ron Donaghy there, so I had a brilliant time, and I just probably didn't even know how blessed I was at that time. I did feel blessed, but I just feel even more blessed.
Beautiful thing about television is it's there forever. You've got that.
That's
back
true.
on.
That's true. That's comforting.
Let's do some more shout outs, because we've almost come to the end, and Tinkerbell's decided to go to sleep now that we're finished.
Oh, now that we're finished, I'm so sorry, Ross. But
That's
you know
all right.
what? She is really sassy.
She wants to be in show business.
She's not going to be in show business with that attitude. I'm telling you right now, she's got an attitude problem.
It's going to be in, one day we'll hopefully see her turn up in our city. Toto.
You can't let her in my dressing room. I can't be connected with her in there.
Right, so we'll do some more shout outs to those watching at home.
Okie dokie. Right, so hello Bernarda Clifford. Yes, that's a cool name, isn't it? I keep saying cool names. Jim Dixon, hello big boy. Ava Gardner, loads of love. Donna Garvey, hello. Evelyn Jackson, I think Evelyn comes to our shows.
Quite possibly.
I think
Big fans?
I think she does. I think so. I might be wrong. Angela Macaloni. That's quite a good one. Macaloni.
Oh, they get better as you go.
Oh, Bianca. Oh, is that a joke one?
No, I knew that. Bianca's Polish.
Oh, that's amazing.
So good luck pronouncing Bianca's second name.
Help me, though. Come on now.
I can't say either. I've only ever seen it written down. My
Bianca baby. That's what I'm going to call
Bianca
you.
M.
Bianca baby. That's my pal.
There
Shout
you
out you. Neil McCluskey, loads of love. Mwah. Linda McConnell, yes. Simon Seal. Like Sammy the Seal, but Simon the Seal.
Round of applause for Simon.
Oh, doll, I bet you get ripped apart in school. I bet you did. Listen, don't worry about it. They used to slag me for having ginger hair. They used to sing ginger hair is unacceptable. They did as well. They did. Anyway, Lindsay Snedden, hello doll. Elaine Taylor, hello. Andrina Lee, hi babe, and Janine Wilson. Hello to everybody. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. It's really lovely, and I hope you're all well. Mwah.
And thanks to everybody else. We couldn't give everybody a shout out, otherwise we'd be spending the whole hour just giving a shout out. So thanks for tuning in. Now, what advice would you have to anybody out there who wants to get into acting?
Be an accountant.
But it's a really tough time to get into acting. You've already mentioned that it's hard for females particularly. But
do you know what? We're making a new wave. You need to create your own stuff with it. We live in an age where anything is possible. So we've got Netflix, we've got all the Prime, we've got all these different things. We can write, we can produce, we can. It's not just that television channels hold the golden key, is what I say. They don't. Not anymore. There's internet, there's places to get your face out everywhere.
Make your own channel if you want.
Yes, and this is the thing, you need to be creative. If you have it in your soul, I would suggest to you, go and do your own thing and be creative, don't be held by it, and don't dilute yourself. My pal's a makeup artist, and I met her when I went into River City, Bethany. She's gorgeous.
Hello, Bethany.
She said to me, I don't know, it was maybe something after, maybe I was a bit loud or something, can you imagine? And, you know, I was maybe getting a bit of the looks off of, I don't know, maybe some people. And she says, you know what, Gayle, never dilute yourself. And I live by that, don't dilute yourself. Do not dilute yourself. You are who you are. That is it in a nutshell. And you speak how you speak, and you are you, and that's what makes you unique. There you go.
And you know what, of all the guests that we've had on, you're the biggest example of that because you've done it. and I think that's where people should really sit up and pay attention. So if you are out there and you want to get into acting or anything else,
Go for it.
Go for it and do it and be creative, because there's plenty of platforms out there for you to do it.
Absolutely.
But Gayle Telfer Stevens, with a three-barreled name, thank you for coming back after a year. You know, you didn't change your mind. You said, yeah, we'll still do it. Let's get it done. And we finally got it done.
Because I really like you, Ross.
Oh, do you? I've got a pal.
I think you're a nice man. He's a lovely man.
Thanks very much. I like you too.
Thanks, doll.
I think that the next time you're on, when you come back with the girls, we should have a sing-song as well. We'll set up the big stage and we'll have a wee sing-song with
Me and me will sing sisters, sisters, they were never more devoted sisters.
Right. Now, is there anything that the fans should be watching out for before we go? Is there anything we haven't mentioned? We've got the Dolls Tour coming up. Is there anything else?
Just stay tuned to River City. It's going to be dead exciting, and there's a trial coming up and all sorts. I mean, we've just filmed that. I think I can tell you that because you know I'm going to court. You know I'm going down for this. So anyways, and watch out for the Dolls TV. I mean, it might not to be to some people's taste, but do you know what? We're true lassies and we're trailblazers and we're going for gold.
Give us the website again.
www.wearethedolls.com. Loads of love. Mwah.
Gayle Telfer Stevens, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.